ridiculous as the tofu scrambled eggs meal prep video that I did live the other night. Maybe it might be a little bit crunchy, y'all, while I try to figure this one out, but it shouldn't be as bad. Okay, so in my previous live video, I showed how I prep my like a tofu scrambled eggs, to make a tofu scramble, um, as like a yeah, to have like a tofu scrambled egg meal or whatever, right? Um, I did a video the other day because I had 2 servings, but then the video didn't save, so now I'm doing this live stream. So in that video, I mentioned that I prepped 2 servings of the tofu. So I already ate the first half of that yesterday. So I'm going to show you how I actually prepare it. So if you want all the ingredients for what I have for this one, all the seasonings, check out the other video. I'll be sure I'll link it to this live stream. But what I'm going to add to this is I'm going to use this the rest of this tofu. I also have some frozen spinach. This is 3/4 of a cup frozen. Sometimes I use fresh spinach. Sometimes I use kale or whatever vegetables. So you can add whatever vegetables that you want. So I'm going to show you exactly how I do that, how I actually prepare it. So here is my pan. Basically, what I'm going to do is just add some avocado oil spray to the pan. So let me just set this up. Let me see. So y'all can see the pan. I think y'all can see that. Put my hair back here. Okay. Let me tilt this down a little bit more. Okay, so I'm going to turn this on. And I'm using like a medium high. So this is just avocado oil spray. Use whatever spray that you want to use. And this is a non-stick pan. So I'm going to give this a few seconds to heat up, and then I'm going to add the tofu in just a moment. And so since this is my second serving, most likely tonight I will be doing another meal prep with the tofu and making another batch of this tonight. So I mentioned in the previous video that I usually do make, if I'm using 1 block, that's enough for 2 meals. Sometimes which will last me like 2 days, but sometimes I'll meal prep for up to 3 days or 4 days. So just depending on what's going on in my week, then I will prep like more. So you can adjust it based off of whatever you need. So I'm about to add this. So again, this is already seasoned. And I'm just taking the spatula and breaking it up a little bit more. And what I'm going to do right now is I'm just covering this right now. I like for my tofu to be cooked like well done. So I like to get that like brown charring on it. So I'm going to give that a few moments to do that. So usually what I like to do in order to save time, if I have time in the morning and I only have, and I just finished that second batch, then what I will do is while this other food is cooking, I will start prepping like the next block. So that's usually what I do, and that helps me just save time on making it. So just be mindful of like what you have the time to do. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and add this the spinach. So again, this is 3/4 of a cup, and I'm just going to put that on top. So I like that to just sit on top because I still want the tofu to cook at the bottom. I don't want to mix this up yet, and I want the steam to just start steaming the spinach. So I do this. I use the same technique whether I am using frozen or fresh. So I'll let this cook for a couple more minutes, and then I'm going to mix it together. So I'll just go ahead and show you, for those that missed the previous video, the seasonings. One of the most important seasonings, if you want your tofu to have that egg taste, is to use some form of black salt, which again you can order this online. I ordered this on Amazon. If you can't find it, let me know, and I can in the comments, and then I can send you the link to where I found this. I also used this. This is from Trader Joe's, the South African smoked seasoning blend. So I use that. It has paprika, salt, garlic, and basil in it. I also added some cayenne pepper. I added some turmeric. And then I added garlic powder. I added basil, some oregano, and then I also added some onion powder. So those are the ingredients that I used when I prepped this tofu the other night. And I always recommend, I think it's best to let it sit at least for a couple of hours, or let it sit overnight. And that's why I like to do like a batch of this, because just the flavors come together and it just tastes better, because it gives time for the tofu, the seasonings. So it's time to mix this up a bit. And again, I have this on medium-high heat. So turn that up just a little bit. And that's going to continue to cook. And I'm going to prep for to make another batch, because it's just easier for me to do it while I'm already doing stuff in the kitchen. And this is how I just make my life easier. Because I'm going to use the same container that I use. I'm just going to clean it out and use the same container. Get another package of tofu and do the same thing I did. This is a different brand of tofu, but I'm going to do the same thing. And so one of the things that I mentioned was, so in the first video, I used firm tofu. This is extra firm. So extra firm is fine too. Sometimes I'll use firm, sometimes I'll use extra firm. Use whatever texture you like best. Either one of these is fine. Okay. So and this is like a 2-pack. So sometimes you'll see these where it's just most packages of tofu are considered like 5 servings, and then you'll have some that splits in half. And I always usually use for a scramble half a block of tofu as 1 serving, and of course you can adjust that based off of what you need, but that is what I'm going to use for the next batch. And all I'm going to do is take this out. I'm going to drain it, and then I'm going to press it. And I showed y'all what I like to use to press it. So I just basically I literally just take the lids of 2 plastic containers, because the lid has a little lip on it, and so it'll catch the liquid, and then I press it and empty it out. So I'll show you how I do that. Well, I actually showed that in the other video. So maybe I'll make a video where stitching the 2 live strings together and chopping it up so it's not all ridiculous. But that's what I'm going to do here while this other food is cooking. I think prepping while you're already cooking can be much easier to stay on track. And what's convenient about having the 2-pack is if you only want to make 1 serving, then you don't have to deal with the whole block. But the first thing I'm going to do is actually cut this. Just cut holes in this and drain out the liquid. So I'm doing this while this other food is cooking. Okay. So I basically just poke a hole in it. And let it drain. So while that is happening, I'm going to open this package up. And I'll do the same thing to the other side. There we go. Okay. So just letting that drain. All right, so now I'm going to check on the scramble. Turn this down a little bit. All right, so I mentioned I like to get mine to get some char on it. It's pretty much ready. You see how there's some brown in there, some browning on the tofu, and that's what I wanted. But you don't have to let it cook that long for that, if you don't want it to have any of that browning on there. And so that is what it's looking like. And that's pretty much it. And I'm gonna have this with some an English muffin. So the brand that I'm going to be using is the Ezekiel English muffins. And this is the sprouted grain. And it's interesting because it says that one serving is half of a muffin. I use the whole muffin. It doesn't come as half, so I use the whole muffin. So if you track your macros, which is what I do, just know that one serving is half a muffin according to this nutrition label. But I'm going to be using the whole thing. And I'm just going to add some strawberry jam to that. So that is pretty much it. That is how I actually cook the tofu scramble once I have prepped it. And I'm about to start prepping the tofu that I just opened up. It's draining right now. I'm going to actually, before I end this, let me just show you again how I press it. And if you don't want to manually press, so I just take you see I have it on this lid. You can use a plate. You can use, sometimes I use a cutting board to actually do the pressing. I just take two lids and I literally just press it down like this with my hand, or I just lean on it just to get that extra liquid out. And then I drain it. And let me just show you, like, I'll just press this for a few moments. And you see all that extra liquid, even though I have drained this, still more liquid comes out. And so when you press the tofu, it just helps with the flavor. I mean, not the flavor, the texture, and absorbing the seasonings better. So that's what I'm doing here. That's why I'm pressing. And since I'm going to be using this in a scramble format, like, it's okay that I'm squishing this all the way down. Sometimes I'm making like tofu cubes and I want to keep the block in a certain, in its, but this helps when you press it. It helps the tofu cook faster, as well as it improves the texture and the absorption of the tofu. All right, so I'm going to do that to the second block, and then I'm going to add all the seasonings that I mentioned here. Here they are again. The oregano, the basil. This is the key component here if you want your tofu to taste like eggs. So don't forget that. But use whatever seasonings you want. And yeah, that's pretty much it. So if you have any questions, let me know. If there's any other video or suggestions that you have, also let me know. All right, see ya.